All right, moving on to more positive news, especially in Leafs Nation. What a week for Leafs Nation. And I guess the most recent one, they've got a new coach now as well. But the big one I think people are buzzing about. Razor, let's get back to you. Former Leaf great here. Darren Raddysh lining up with Toronto, sign and trade. 8 years, $8.5 million, a massive breakout season for Raddysh, 22 snipes last year. Your thoughts on this one within the division here? I mean, this seems a lot like a guy who was a Toronto guy who just wanted to go home.
That's exactly what it sounded like. And my computer was like starting to burn up. So I had to move away from the Hall of Fame here, from all the Babcock talk, and then get all over here. So if anyone's watching and might change, this is why. And we're editing that out because my computer, maybe someone was getting to it and trying to turn
fiery
it off.
takes here. Fiery takes.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's listening for sure. The Leafs, yeah, they had a big week. The Raddysh thing, everyone's going crazy about how much he's getting. I saw the Illuminati going on, like 8 years is going to not look good in 8 years, but they need to do something. They need a power play guy. They need to make Austin Matthews happy. They need to make William Nylander happy. They need to get back into the respectability here. And the Raddysh was the best free agent on the market. So I'm never going to begrudge a team going after the best free agent and going to get that guy. I think Tampa knew they couldn't sign him. Yeah, no choice. And they probably were told by the camp that he wasn't going anywhere else. So the only way they could get a 5th round pick was by that, to trade him to Toronto. That's the in division. That's the reason why, because he wasn't going anywhere else. Like you just said, Seaball, he's an Ontario guy. His mom's here, like the whole thing. It just worked out for the Leafs. So that's that aspect of it. The coaching decision's interesting to me. I know Jim was here in Toronto, so that makes me think that him and Matthews and Nylander have an unbelievable relationship, and there was a big reason for that. He never turned things loose in Tampa or in LA. I mean, the 1-3-1, we went on about the calls, the way they played. It wasn't enough to beat Edmonton at any point. They couldn't score. So how are the Leafs going to score? How is he going to change his mentality on how he thinks the game and get rid of the 1-3-1? I do not see Austin Matthews and Nylander playing in a 1-3-1 setup. I just don't see how you're going to get Nylander to play that kind of neutral zone.
Maybe not Nylander, but Matthews, who can play a strong two-way game. Maybe that's a little more of a buy-in.
Yeah, and again, that's how you have to win with defense. So like, there's no kidding ourselves with that. But the reality is, it was interesting. They went through 55 guys. We talked about Joe Pavelski. We talked about Patrick Waugh on the show the last couple of weeks, and then they go Jim Hiller. Right? It just
and they talked to Cassidy too. They got permission to talk to Cassidy too.
That was interesting too. But again, I think it comes down to relationship at the end of the day. That's the only thing that stands out that none of the other people had, was that Jim has been in Toronto. He had those guys when they were younger, and they must have really, really liked them as an assistant coach.
Kami, let me throw this to you for a second here. You've got a back end right now. You've got Raddysh now at 8.5. You got Tanev at 4.5, McCabe at 4.5, Riley at 7.5. Carlo at 3.5, OEL at 3.5. I mean, maybe there's a moving piece here depending on the talk of Morgan Riley, but $31 million committed to that blue line.
Pretty old blue line too, ain't it?
Oh, Jesus.
Raddysh just turned 30, and really that was just his third year really being an everyday NHL, like a total late bloomer.
Good for him too. I like seeing stories like that. Like that was a guy 100%. That like I had to look up this year when I kept hearing his name. Who the hell is Raddysh? I've never heard of this guy. Figuring he was like 21-year-old or something like that, especially with today's game. The guy's 29, turning 30.
It's your age.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this guy. So I look, good for guys like that. I love seeing stories, especially, in today's game where everybody goes, seemingly goes young super quick. You get off to a good start. You're signing a 7-8 year deal because they're trying to guess right and keep to beat the cap or whatever. So good for a guy like that. That's awesome. I have a couple things to tie in with the Leafs and Toronto land. I'm going to save it for Don't Puck It Up. But I would say, hey, at least they're making some moves. That blue line is, I would say my complaint here with you just bringing it up, a little old. We might want to get a little younger in a couple of those spots. But, if they keep moving things around, good for them. But I do have a couple things to add, and Don't Puck It Up to tie a couple things up.
We'll get to that in a moment. Razor, the Woll trade. It looks like they're going with a tandem of Stolars and Hildeby, I guess, for the short term now. I mean, do you make any sense of that one?
I think they had a crowded crease, and Wall was probably the most the biggest asset in net around the league. Maybe not for them, so he was expendable for them, but wanted elsewhere. They seem to have got that young defenseman that they're high on in that deal, to Kami's point, and then they get out from underneath Wall's $3.5-4 million, which really isn't a lot in the league, but it will go down with Hill to be making only $1.5 million. So it's a little interesting, but I think they just had a crowded crease and needed to move on. And realistically, the only thing they were going to get value for around the league was Wall. Stolars is an older guy; they're not getting any. Hildeby's unproven, so they had to move on from one guy, give up a good guy to get some assets, and they used Wall to do that.
Should also congratulate the Toronto Marlies on winning this year's Calder Cup. I mean,
there you go.
The Marlies win it this year. Last year, it was the Canucks farm team, the Abbotsford Canucks, who win it. So, look, Canada may not be able to win a Stanley Cup in over 30 years, but, man, we dominate when it comes to the Calder boys.
Seaball, you just took my "don't puck it up" in there.
Oh, no! Sorry.
Damn it.
Okay.
No, you can find something in there.
Oh, no, you can run that back. You can run that back.
I thought I was going to
Oh,
slip that one in through you guys. You guys got me.
Okay. Jonathan Toews calling it a career after 16 years. Look, World Junior Hockey, God, 2 years there at the World Juniors, the shootout. Who can forget that? I was there in Leksand, Sweden for that one. But over 1,100 games, 900 points, 3 Stanley Cups, a Selke, listed as the NHL's top 100 all-time players back about 8 years ago when they came out with that list. Remarkably, though, from an offensive standpoint, only one 80-point season and only 2 30-goal seasons. So, but a guy who leveled up when it mattered in the playoffs. His points per game actually got higher in the postseason. So I'll throw you this to both of you. I don't know if you have a thought or a story on Toews, but first off, Hall of Famer?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
No, not even close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no question.
First ballot.
First ballot for sure. I'll start on Toews. Yeah. I mean, first off, what an incredible career. Congratulations. I've known him for a long time, a little bit. Obviously, we've gone over, you're welcome, Chicago.
The paint slap.
Right, yeah. Welcome, saved your boy in 07 before he even got started when that little Russian gangster wanted to take him out. You guys are welcome, Chicago. No problem. Thank me for your 3 cups. But, obviously, junior career, international career. I was couple years at North Dakota. Chicago is incredible. I don't even need to talk about that. I'd like to, I was fortunate enough. I played golf. He spent some time here in Arizona. I'm thinking, figuring out where he's going to be or whatever, but he spends quite a bit of time here. 2 Decembers ago, so before last season, we went golfing, and I asked him, after the golf, I'm like, yeah, what's your plan now, Johnny? And he's like, I think I might play. And I looked at him, I go, play what? He's like, hockey. I'm like, oh, and I could tell he was serious. At this time, he'd been out for 2.5 years or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, good for you. Yeah. If you still think, yeah, that's awesome. In the back of my head, I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. Like, this guy hasn't skated. He's 37.
What were you doing on that retreat?
38.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, but you know what? He goes through the year and signs a deal with Winnipeg. And you know what? Look, I know Winnipeg had a tough year. And he was, not up to expectations or whatever. And I know, his start was slower, but he got better as the year went on. And I will say, good for him. The fact that he could even remotely keep up, and the fact that he got better as the year went on. And I was fortunate enough to golf with him, like right after their season with him, Scheifele and Lowry. They came down here and they played golf. And so I went, hung out, and then hung out with the guys after. You could tell that those guys really looked up to him, but really, really enjoyed his company, and, would make fun of him, and he would make fun of him back. It was a kind of a fun dynamic to watch. And, and I don't think they were joking, but they were like, hey, because I'm like, hey, are you going back for another year? And, he's like, and, they were saying, they're like, hey, you should come back. We'd love to have you back. I do think the year, though, for him was a hard one in Winnipeg. I do think that was tough. Things weren't going that smooth, sitting there, and he wanted things, he's in his hometown and stuff like that. So anyways, I wasn't really sure what he was going to do. This was going to be my guess just from what I didn't ask him, but I was just paying attention. Anyways, good for Jonathan Toews. Hell of a career. Like we all just said, the first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question. He should be very, very proud of himself.
Razor, did he score on you?
Yeah, he did. I remember I played the home opener in Chicago and Dallas, and the Rat went 5-hole on me in the second period on a breakaway, and they opened it up in the second. Like, I had a really good first. We played back-to-back, so it was like a tough start for me. Got in late in Chicago, and I was going good, and then he went 5-hole on me on the breakaway. They scored 2 more after. We lose 4-1. I looked like a bozo because he went 5-hole on me. No reason to do that at all in the United States. So, I mean, everybody scored on me, but for whatever reason, I remember that goal from Jonathan Toews, and it still bothers me, as you can tell from this moment. So annoying.
Such a great player. Congrats on a great career. Yep. One of my favorite players to watch over the last 20 years. What he did at the World Juniors as well. Olympic gold medal on top of that. Just a national treasure from a Canadian standpoint. Wonderful player, wonderful character and personality off the ice as well. Captain Serious.
That's it.
Like the modern day Brian Trottier, one of the best two-way players we've seen of the last generation